Hi, my name is Devin Broughton, and this is our second episode of Jimmie Connection. Today I am here with Dr. Paasch. Dr. Paasch, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I grew up on a ranch in Texas. My mentor was my father. There were 3 girls, and I was lucky enough I got to be the boy in the family. My mother was determined to make me sit straight and look pretty, but my father put me on a horse, and that saved me. He was also a Baptist preacher, and that's where I got my spirituality very much. I've traveled a lot. In my lifetime, lived in Africa, was in the Peace Corps. It was a life-changing experience. I grew up in this conservative Baptist environment, which was wonderful. Down home all day singing and dinner on the ground in the church I grew up in, and that was great, and that was great roots. But then I had this opportunity to travel, and that made me just made me a much larger person inside, expanded my basic spirituality and my experience of the world, gave me a passion for other peoples around the world, for diversity. I think that's where it really began in Africa. I was headmistress of the school on Lake Victoria with the Luo people. The Luo people are very oral and they love music. And so both of those gifts I got to be a part of. So my Peace Corps, I learned much more than I ever taught them. It was, I really look back now and think that that was a part of my journey. I really think that life is a journey, not a destination, but all the things that you experience on the way. I've been lucky enough as a woman to be very educated, have my doctorate degree, went to school in Texas, and learned all kinds of Texas speech. The best speech teacher I ever had was the first one I had in Texas. She was tough as nails, and I was very shy, and she knew how to get the best from me. Then I went to New York City, and the Texan in New York City, and went to graduate school at Columbia University. I have a degree in speech and theater, and that was a different sort of development. Did a lot of things in New York City that gave me some urbane skills. And so I think the Texas, and then the New York, and then the farm in North Dakota sort of forms all together what I am, because like Karen Blixen, she says, I had a farm in the Ngong Hills. I have a farm in the North Dakota Hills. And all of those experiences, I think, have made me, given me opportunities and made me who I am.
Nice. You were talking about your experiences in the Peace Corps. I know there are a lot of students on campus right now who are thinking about the Peace Corps, Destiny Winkler and Savannah Schaefer in particular that I can remember now. Mm-hmm. But what was it like being in the Peace Corps?
Well, as the motto says, it's the hardest job you'll ever love. It's exhilarating. It's very challenging. I would advise, first do it. if you feel that you must. I remember I was teaching mathematics in a school in Texas, in a prep school, in a fancy prep school, and I went through a library and looked down at a newspaper, and there was the Peace Corps, and I just sort of knew right then, that's for me. And so I thought I'd wait a year to hear, but I heard in 1 month, they said, you're going to Africa. Prepare yourself as much as you can. The more skills you have in writing and thinking, in speaking, in empathy, in reading nonverbal cues, in connecting with people, that's the best thing that you can have. And again, I taught, and you will have a job, and you will connect with people, but the most part, you will grow a lot yourself, really make you a different person, living in a different culture. There's nothing like it.
Now, while you were in the Peace Corps, How many different places did you go while you were in the Peace Corps?
While I was in the Peace Corps, just in Africa, in Kenya. I was only at one school was my location. There's Nairobi, and then my school was on Lake Victoria, where it was the first girls' school in all of Luo land. And Luo is the second largest tribe in Kenya, the largest tribe of the Kikuyu, then the Luo. So, and I was headmistress of that first girls' school, the first girls' high school. We graduated the first girls who could go to the university. And that was really exciting for me, because every student in Luo girl in my school, Ogandi Girls School, there were 8 more students at home who would love to have the opportunity to go just to high school. And so it was very special, and helping them, giving them skills and trying to help them to get a job or to become a part of the country, especially as women. It was a girls' school, and I love that, working with women. And it's just a rare opportunity that'll never, changed me as well. And very, very vocal, very oral. The Luo, they love to talk, love to sing.
One last question about the Peace Corps. What would you say was one big thing that you took from being in the Peace Corps?
I think being resilient, being open. Open your heart and keep it open. You want to close it up. These people aren't like me. They're different. But if you can keep open to different people's different ideas, then somehow you'll connect with them. If you open your heart to them, then you will connect. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is not closing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said earlier that you got a degree in theater and...
Speech and theater.
Speech and theater.
At that time, there was no communication field. It was just before that had come into being. And so it was speech and theater. And so that was the closest thing to communication. When I did my doctorate, then that was the communication, but I did the speech and theater in New York City. But that was great. I was in plays and did, all of these things. And that was a different part of me that could grow.
So what made you want to become a teacher?
I don't think I wanted to become a teacher. When I started out, for a woman, it was a secretary, or it was a nurse, or it was a teacher. I don't like blood, and I sure don't like just secretary all day and bringing tea. So I thought, well, teaching, that's what I'll do. So I fell in that, and I think for years I was very frightened, scared me, and not really comfortable. In fact, I feel just the last 2 or 3 years that I really wake up and I can't wait to get in that classroom. But it took me a long time to get there. It really did. Now I'm very passionate about it, because there's nothing like the energy and the topic and the critical thinking that can take place like in a diversity class that goes on. Wow, that turns me on. It really does. But it took me a long time to get there. I think for years maybe, stood behind my notes or frightened, and that takes a long time to get in your comfort zone and your own way of teaching. And I've really loved the University of Jamestown teaching here, because while they mentor you, they help you, but they don't control you. So I'm able to set my classroom how I want, as every other professor does, and we have our own style. And I really love that.
So what led you to UJ then? Like, how did you come? Well, JC at the time.
I married a man I met in Africa, met Carl. And we came here, and we have our farm in the North Dakota hills, just 28 miles from here. And I first came here to get a music degree, and I've always wanted to learn. And so I worked it out. I took 8 years to get my music degree. I took 1 or 2 courses, and Dr. Vosner was very instrumental in helping me complete that. And then they asked me would I like, because I had a master's, and they asked me to teach speech. So I started teaching speech and music. And then it worked out, and they said, after a while, then perhaps you can teach full time. And so then that developed, and they gave me a sabbatical. University of Jamestown's been very good to me. Gave me a sabbatical, and I went away for 2 years, got my doctor's degree from the University of Kansas, and helped start a communications department. So that was really exciting to begin that department. Yeah.
So what is it like being the chair of the University of Jamestown's
Chairs don't turn me on. I don't care for books and all of this assessment and all of these extra things, but I know it is a necessary evil, and I'm the only warm body around to do it. So I do it, and I do an okay job. The classroom is my thing. I love the classroom, love students, love nothing better than discuss ideas about diversity, about the biodiversity, the ethnodiversity, about nonverbal cues, about oral interpreting a piece of literature. I love that. Chair, books, that doesn't turn me on, but I do it. And that's part of life, you do things perhaps, but that's, yeah. I'm looking forward to somebody else being chair.
Okay, now we have a question that I got from a student that we wanted to ask you.
All right.
This is kind of a fun question. So there have been reports of students saying that they always see you either jogging or skipping or running or whistling and humming and singing around campus, and then you get into your classroom and you still bring so much energy to the classroom.
Yes.
And the question is, Dr. Paasch, how do you have so much energy all the time?
I don't know. It is a boon and a bust. I've learned to appreciate my energy. It's in my genes. My father, I'll show you my favorite person is my father. And if you come to my office, you'll see his picture. He's up in a tree. And that's my father. He's spraying pecans off. And that was on our ranch in Texas. The Height family that I was born into, they could outrun, outthrow, outjump. It was just in our genes. That's what it is to be a Height. And I seem to have the extra amount of those. So it's in my genes. And I love it for a while, because sometimes I can be over the top. My energy, and there have been times in my life that but now I just celebrate it. That's who I am. And I try to bring that into my classroom, in my passion for diversity and students learning and being leaders for tomorrow. I try to, just to channel whatever gifts we have. If you can channel them into what you're passionate about, then that's what you want to do. Polish them up and send them over to Devin.
Yes. And a lot of us definitely appreciate your energy that you bring to the classroom. It definitely makes it more enjoyable.
Good.
And speaking of diversity, this woman is diverse. Is it true that you were actually a model at one point? Tell us about that.
I have been. No great thing. But I had a roommate that was a model when I was in New York. And she told me, said, you should come. And, I think, whatever, your body type or whatever, you could do this. So I went a few times with her, did a few things, modeled some clothes, was taught, the runway, how you walk, how you did this. I did 2 or 3 shows, smaller things, and decided that wasn't really the place for my energy, but I enjoyed that. I learned some good things about nonverbal cues about presentation, and that was important. Yeah, enjoyed that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, all of us have definitely enjoyed having you as a teacher, and we love you, and we're going to be very sad and disappointed when you leave. And we are very, very sad that UJ will be losing such an amazing teacher. Tell us a little bit about why you decided that now was a good time to retire.
I think I'm sort of at my peak. I think this year I've just kind of let it all hang out. I determined last 3 years, I spent a lot of time in my office writing proposals, doing all this stuff. I thought, this is my last year. I'm just going to really have fun with it. So I make sure that I'm doing that and try to bring as much as I can to every class that I walk in. What else?
That's all I have. We're just sad that we're going to be losing it.
Yeah, so, well, there's not a day that I don't leave diversity class and oral and term class and most of my classes that I think, do I really want to go? But I think so. I think it's time for someone else. It's also time for me. I want to reinvent myself. I have some passions, some things, some world things. I want to travel. I'm interested in women and trafficking. I'm very interested in immigration and these camps where all these people. I'm very interested, so I'm going to remain very active and work with things that like that. And I just think after a while, I think it's time for someone else will come along with gifts equally different, not less. And that's why.
Big saying there.
Yeah.
Big Dr. Paasch saying. So I have 2 more questions for
All
you.
right.
One of them is going to be the closing question, which will be very interesting. So be prepared for that one.
All right.
My next question is what are you going to do after UJ?
After UJ, I'm going to stay on my farm. I love my farm, my children, and I have a real connection to the land. I really feel a spirituality with the land. Robert Frost said, the land was ours before we were the land's. And I really feel like that I am part of that land out there. And I want to protect it just as I bring my energy to my classroom and my students. I really want, I have a lot of, programs that I put my farm in. Pheasants forever, and fish and game, wildlife. I have all kinds of, and so I'm very interested in that, in protecting the land. And I'll retire there, but I'll travel a lot, and as long as I'm comfortable traveling, want to spend a lot of time with my children. Have one in DC, one in upstate New York, and one in Missoula, Montana. So I want to see my kids and my grandkids, be a part of them. But I also want to have, and be very active. The things that I talk about in class, they are me and my life, and I want to be a part of that, right till the very end. People and the land, those things.
Well, Paasch, I'd like to thank you so much for this interview. I have one last question for you.
All right.
I think, the last person that I asked a question was, what was your favorite color and why? But I think we all already know that Paasch's favorite color is purple.
Purple.
So I'm going to ask you a new question instead.
All right.
What is your favorite superhero and why?
Well, let me see. Gandhi, probably not super. Mandela, Lincoln. I told my friend Myra, if I ever married again, it would be a Lincoln. So, fat chance. Lincoln. Oh, he's just wonderful. He's so gifted. He's always empowering other people. He was not threatened by other people. He was comfortable enough in his own skin that whatever you could agree, you could disagree, you could be very angry, and he was comfortable enough to to handle those situations. He knew how to bring humor to political situations when they were in war and trying to stop slavery, and in the midst of all of that, he could tell a good story, he could make people laugh. I think he appreciated the moment. If I had anything that I would like to say, you know, about living is, Earth is just such a wonderful place to be, and just to live, it's just great. And I would say, you know, be present every moment you have. We're so caught up in troubles, or worried about something, or something we're mad about. Let all that stuff go, and just love the moment and experience it, and how much you can get out of that.
Wow.
That's a gift.
Thank you so much. That was deep. Thank you.
Okay.
I was expecting something, you know, like Superman or. But no.
That's
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
There we go. My name is Devin Broughton again, and this is our second episode of Jimmie Connections. Dr. Paasch, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.